So yeah. Okay, is Gladys here as well? So, okay, let me check. So yeah, I think we're live. I'm just gonna share it. Copy. Hello guys. Yeah, I think we're live. So I'll just share it to you, Fiona. We will send it. Share copy link to Fiona. Yeah. Yeah, Fiona, I sent to your Facebook message.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay.
Brilliant.
So
Okay.
I will just invite them to come on over.
Brilliant. Okay, let me just copy that. Lovely, thank you.
Okay. Okay, are we ready? Yes. Marvin, are you here, Marvin? Yeah, let's admit that.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so let's start this. Okay, so guys, welcome. If you can see me now. So I would like to welcome for you. We have another session of writing because I know writing has been really a top subtest in Ielts, and a lot of us are requesting if we could have writing session. So here we go again that we brought another session of writing. So you better watch out. Let us lend your ears and you can jot down. So I will introduce now our special guest, none other than Miss Fiona. Wait, where's my, yeah. So I will just give a brief introduction for our guest. So let's welcome Miss Fiona Wattam. For your information, guys, she has 30 years of teaching TEFL, MA distinction, 20 years of specializing in Ielts with British Council, and yeah, she's actually an ex-examiner. So how about that, guys? That is really, very strong qualification. And then she is the owner of Ielts with Fiona Members Academy, and she has actually podcast, and I followed her on her podcast. Later we can promote that. She also has website. You can type in ieltsetc.com. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring Fiona. Hello, Fiona.
Okay, hi, thank you very much for that lovely introduction, and thanks for inviting me as well.
You're welcome. So yeah, shall we begin?
Okay, great. So the session I'm going to look at today is something that comes up a lot in the Members Academy when I am marking people's Task 2 essays. And when I first introduce it, when they join, they don't know what I'm talking about. So I thought it would be really useful for everybody if we talk about it today. Before I do that, I do have a little quiz for you, and I'm going to put it in the chat if that's okay. I do try and make my lessons interactive throughout, so you're not going to be just sitting there. I'm going to give you a few things to do. So is that okay if I share now? Lovely. Okay, so the question is this. Well, the question is, who do you think are better drivers? Do you think it's men or women are better drivers? So in that little, I don't, have you ever tried Menti before? I've put it in the chat, and all you need to do is just go to that website on your phone or through that link and then put that number in. And while you're doing that, just while people are coming on as well, I'll keep going with the lesson if that's okay. But do feel free in the chat. I'm just checking now. Do feel free to comment on what you think about that comment. Do you drive? Do you think you're a better driver than your partner? Whatever you want, write that in the comment so we can look at the scores later. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Oh, look already. Here we go. Great. Perfect. So people are saying, hang on, let me move the chat. People are saying, what are they saying? I can't move. Right. Okay. So possibly as expected, people are saying men, this is going up. I wonder if you said it depends. Could you tell me maybe why did you choose that one? It depends is going up. Anybody else? I'll just give you a bit of time. So when you look at that statement, you make a decision by yourself. But what we're going to look at today is whether that decision is your opinion or is it fact. Now, these two things are really important in a task 2 essay. And whenever you're making claims about something, either you have to say, well, that's just my opinion, or you find other ways to express that. So, for example, what does better mean? Does better mean more skilled, safer, faster, more careful? Band 7 is all about being precise. It's almost like the indicator of a difference between a 6 and a 7. So if you say something like women are better drivers than men, or men are better drivers than women, the examiner's thinking, well, what do you mean by that? Where's your evidence for that? Is that just your opinion or is that fact? It kind of causes a kind of confusion, and you don't want the examiner to be confused. So I'm going back again, just having a quick look. The women are gaining on us there. Okay, fine. So we're going to think of ways of writing that a bit more precisely and accurately, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So as we said before, if it's a fact, if you really think women or men are better, then you have to give your evidence for that. If you don't have evidence, you've got hedging, and that's what we're talking about today. Hopefully by the end of the session that will be clear. Can you in the comments just say yes or no? Have you heard about hedging before? That's it. Just have you heard about the language of hedging before? Say yes or no in the comments. No, Mimi saying, Chrissy no, Andrew no. Brilliant. This is going to be really useful for you. Shamila no. Lovely. Lovely. Because when I'm marking my students' essays, you're all saying no. Brilliant. I'm so happy because I really think it will help and make a difference. I sometimes hold up a hedge and I say, you need to hedge. Where's the hedging? And you're all saying that. Great. So I'm going to go, thanks for that. I'm going to go through it slowly and carefully then. So you've got this decision. Is it a fact? Women are better, then give evidence. If you don't have your facts, you hedge. Or you simply say, well, that's my opinion. But this distinction is really going to distinguish you from a 6 and a 7. That will make a difference. Okay, so the main thing is that you don't represent your opinion as fact. Either it's your opinion or it's fact. Hedging is the middle ground, as we'll see. Okay. So we've talked about the difference between opinion and fact, but you can't just say, I believe women are, I think men are. You can't say that all the time. So this is where hedging comes again, and it has many benefits. And I'm not going to go through them now, but it's a kind of academic language. I teach academic skills at Essex University, and it's difficult for everyone. When is it your thoughts? The essay asks for your opinion, but they want you to give evidence that that opinion is strong, that it's correct, that it's supported. So let's have a look at these 10 sentences now. I'm going to give you a bit of time to read through them, but as you are reading, I'd like you please to think about what is it in this sentence. I'll do the first one. Women tend to be more cautious when driving in built-up areas. Now, what makes that better than women are better drivers than men? Why is that a better sentence? And type anything in that sentence that you think makes it better. I'll start, but please just keep so Mimi is saying the word cautious. Okay, Mimi, perfect. Suddenly you're not saying better, you're being more specific. You're saying, well, they might be more careful than men. Okay, you're not saying they are more careful than men. You're saying, Alexandra's got it there. Excellent. Women tend to be, not always, not 100%, not every single woman in the world is better, but they have a tendency. They have a tendency to do this, and they are more cautious, and not everywhere, but in certain areas. So every aspect of this sentence is more specific. Great. So you've got the first one. Can you look at the second one, please, and do the same thing again? Younger men may drive later at night. So this could be the reason for the maybe higher accident rate. And while you're typing that number 2, please, I did actually Google this to try and find some facts. And when I looked at the facts, all of them were hedging. There was no concrete evidence. They just gave evidence, well, you know, young men, they tend to drive a little bit later than women. Maybe this could be the reason. So there's hedging in the modal, could be the reason, Alexandra, exactly. So we've got these modal verbs, could, may, not they do, or they will, or they always, again, they may, they could, being careful and cautious. Great. What is it in sentence number 3? Again, just type as fast as you can, or don't type every word, but just type what you think makes that more cautious. So you've got more hesitant. Yeah, again, the adjective is specific. It's not better. It's not worse, because those are very vague terms. More hesitant is perfect. And again, not 100% true, but it's possible. That may be a reason. Number 4, what gives us the hedging language here? In many respects, they are just as capable, because you know the myth or the stereotype is that women can't park, and stereotypes, generalizations, being too general is something which is not academic. Academic language has to be specific and precise. So exactly the expression there, it is possible that, and just as capable, not saying more or less, but again, being precise. Good. Excellent. So that's the topic of driving. And I think that's funny because my husband can't drive. So when people say men are better drivers, I think that's just a stereotype. And we want to avoid that in Ielts, especially with maybe gender. That comes up quite a lot. Number 5 is a different topic. So the topic is very often about the effects of something in Ielts. What happens if children watch too much TV or violent movies or play video games too much? People tend to say, well, this will lead to violence and crime. This will lead. Will it? Have you looked at the evidence? Again, my son is a huge gamer. So what can you, you saw my answers there, hang on, there. Right, what is there in number 5 which tells us it's not 100% sure that it's a fact? There appears to be a link, not 100%, yes, this causes depression, but there appears to be, this language, it suggests there might be a link. And what a similar word there in 6. What is the hedging language here? A study suggested that teenage boys, again more specific, not all teenagers, often suffer from low self-esteem. What is the hedging language? Instead of saying, oh, you've got suggested, sorry, Andrew, thank you, and empty, yes, exactly. It's just a suggestion. And not always, but often. So these adverbs, often, Rose, you got it there, exactly. Anything in 7 that stands out to you as a difference between 100% sure? Jonathan's got often there as well. And apparently adolescents lose sleep because of the fear of missing out on social media posts. There's one thing there which tells you not all adolescents are on social media. Exactly. Empty, you've got it again. Andrew, great. Apparently, these adverbs. And so on. We could probably go through number 8 quite quickly. It seems fair to say has been the biggest influence. Okay, let's skip that. Let's move on. What about 9, actually? Jonathan, yes, it seems. Great. What about 9? There's a really important one in 9. Most people would argue it is the parents' responsibility. Most people would argue that it is the parents' responsibility. Most people, Mimi, most is such an important word. I often say, well, actually, is it everybody? Or is it some people or many people? Just that quantifier will make a difference. And you're not saying most people argue. Most people would argue. It's less certain. It's more cautious, careful, precise language. And what about the last one in 10? What can you see there that makes it less sure? Quite. Where was quite, Jonathan? Have I skipped ahead? Oops. Quite. What number was that? Oh, sorry, 10. Quite a negative effect. Yes. Yes. So being, again, rather or quite or a little or some, but not a huge detrimental effect. But also this one can. It's not always true. It doesn't always have a negative effect. It can have. So another modal, we've seen modals may, could, would, might, all of those make it more careful. Great. So sorry this slipped. You did maybe see I've highlighted those, all of those that you suggested. I think I added this one when it comes to when you want to introduce just a specific thing. So when I looked at the research, it didn't say men are better drivers. It said, when it comes to driving at night, men tend to have more accidents. So when it comes to is again being very specific. Okay, great. So now if you looked at those and tried to test yourself, and I've got this on a PDF for you, so don't worry if you don't have time now. But if you look at number 1, and I've hidden the original one, could you remember something that would make number 1 better? So this number 1 says women are more cautious drivers. If you say that, people could disagree. They could say, well, I don't think all women are more cautious. I think, maybe some women, young women, actually do drive quite fast. There is evidence to suggest that women are not more cautious drivers. So what can you simply change instead of are? What can you do to make that, to hedge? Look at number 2, younger men drive later. So Alexandra saying women could be more cautious drivers. Yes, fine. So modal verb, Alexandra. Yes, good. Young men drive later at night. Is that 100% sure? All young men drive late at night, which is why they cause so many accidents. Is that the reason, or maybe the reason? Women can't park. Again, that's your opinion. It's too much of a stereotype. You need to soften that. Okay, so with these slides, you can, and with the PDF I've made for you, you can click backwards and forwards and just keep testing yourself with those different things. So I've come up with 10 things that help you to hedge, and we've been through basically all of them, and now we're going to go through, I'm going to ask you to find a few more examples before we practice. So let's look at these 2 statements. Young people prefer to eat fast food. Which one of those do you think is more appropriate for task 2? So just put number 1 or number 2 in the comments. And it's not about length, but Andrew, you're going with 2. Obviously you'd think, oh, well, when it's difficult to find number of words, so number 2 is better. I agree, Andrew and May, Bonilla, Chrissy, yes, 2 is clearly better. But not only because of the number of words, what else stands out in number 2? Philip, well done. Alexandra, great. There's a problem with number 1, isn't there? Because young people is about half of the world population. You can't make that kind of generalization. So what can you notice in the larger paragraph, part number 2, that again stands out as being better? Actually, this is another benefit of hedging, is that it does give you more words, and you can quite easily learn just those chunks of languages. It's often thought that, for example, is a chunk that you can learn. So here I have gone a little over the top just to show you the example. It is a bit too much, and we'll talk about that later. But yes, now the language is much more accurate with not all people, but many people. Not always, but they tend to. What is fast food? Noodles are fast food. They could be healthy. So here you've been more specific. You said which may be considered to be unhealthy. You might want to compare them. Okay, well, maybe compared to older people, yes, but that's all relative. but this is maybe just an assumption. Maybe it's not true, maybe it's untrue. So if I took all of that language out of that sentence, you would be left with a statement which is maybe untrue, inaccurate, or too general. And of course, that is what Ielts doesn't like. Okay, let's move on. So how about you? Could you take this generalization and hedge it? So like we did before, ideally, if you had if we had time, I would ask you to type that onto a Google Doc. But for now, just think about how you might rewrite that. I don't know if anybody's got time to type that. But you can immediately see the problem with it. So I'm going to show you one example. There are many ways of rewriting this. For example, it is often assumed, we often think that men prefer science-related subjects when compared with women who maybe traditionally, maybe not true anymore, tend to favor the arts. So hopefully you can hear just how much more academic that sounds. And then another possibility, concession there. I have a lesson about although on my website. It seems likely the majority are male, but evidence suggests this makes you sound like an authority. This shows the examiner that you read, you think, you are critical in your analysis of stereotypes and generalizations. Okay, and so on. So next thing, I'd like you to decide, I'm going to give you 3 examples here. One of them is perfect, one of them is too simplistic, and one of them is too much hedging. So let's have a look at them. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Can you please, in the comments, tell me which thing you think is the ideal one for Ielts? You might disagree on this. Oh, Andrew's first with 3. Okay. 3, Alexandra. Okay, I'm going with 3 then. Maria agrees. Yes, absolutely. I mean, now you can see it. You know, I've given you 10 different ways of hedging, but part of developing your style is deciding when is enough. So with number 3, as you all said, as you all saw, number 3 is appropriate. There is some evidence to suggest, and again, you can learn that as a chunk. It's not memorized language, it's a chunk of language that you can use to support your arguments. What else is there? Do you remember, what did we say about may? What kind of verb is may? And these verbs are essential for hedging. So may, being a modal verb, makes everything more careful. And modal, thank you, May. Yes, it's in your name, perfect. I often, with when you talk about the results and the consequences, my students often say it will happen, and I say, well, it may happen, it might happen, but we're not sure that it will happen. So may and might, really useful. Okay, the next one, I'm going to do the same again and give you 3. Now, this one is about the topic of British food. And could you, in the comments, tell me, what do you think about British food? What do you know about it? Do you have any strong feelings about British food? I'm going to give you time, so please write. I'm going to pause a little bit. I'd love to see what you think about British food. And don't be polite. Say what you've heard, maybe. You could hedge if you want. I'm going to wait and wait and wait. Somebody who has tasted any British food or famous British food that you know about, anything, feel free, and I won't be offended because I'm Welsh, so I don't consider British food the same way. Okay, while you're typing then, I'm going to give you one suggestion. Okay, you know fish and chips. Fish and chips is possibly the most famous one. Okay, is that a tasty food? Is it spicy? Is it delicious? Scones or scones? Interesting pronunciation for that. Pudding, it's salty beef Wellington. Okay. Have you tried any of them? Because it seems to me if you haven't tried them, it's because British food doesn't travel very well. Maybe it's not that great. Andrew, thank you. It's an unpopular opinion that British food tends to be bland. Okay, you're being very diplomatic there. You've used the hedging word tends to be, and you're not saying it's your opinion. You're saying that many people think this. Exactly. Chicken tikka masala. Yes, that is now the most common British food, isn't it? And there's a reason for that, because it tastes better than fish and chips, I guess. Yes. Okay, so I've given you the answer now. Oh, never mind. Right. So another reason for hedging, because I teach in the UK, I get lots of students who come and tell me British food is awful. Now, I'm not offended by that, but some people are, and some people think, hang on a minute, have you really tried British food? Do you really know what it's like? Have you tried my cooking? And they might be offended, and that's the same thing about making any kind of generalization in Ielts, is that you have to be careful all the time about what you're saying. So we've got this appropriate level is considered to be somewhat lacking in variety when compared to the other cuisines of other countries. Yes. Okay. So that's being polite and diplomatic with opinion. Okay. So before we move on, in the comments, please, could you tell me if this idea of hedging is making sense to you? So just kind of a yes or a no. Kushbu, thank you. Maria, yes. Chrissy, lovely. Oh, that's great. Okay, because I know for some people, maybe just the word hedge is funny. It's just a funny word. But if you Google it, hedging in academic language, you'll find a lot more. And I've put this all together on my website. And Philip, great, absolutely. Gracie, thank you. Day, oh, great, amazing. So yeah, I've kind of put all of that together on my website. I've got a podcast there. Maybe I'll share that with you. But so it is a thing, and it's important. If you're going to go on to university as well, I tell my, the 19 and 20-year-old students doing their first year degree, and I'm correcting them all the time on this. It's a new concept to them, and it comes. You'll notice it in your reading, I guess. Great. Any questions in the comments before we move on? Nope. Okay. Just feel free to ask any questions about it. Oh, that was right. That was the wrong way around. Okay. What if we don't have any idea about the question? Okay, Andrew, that's a great point, but I think that's more to do with where you get your ideas from. I've got a quite useful, I think it's useful, YouTube video about how to generate your ideas and where you get those ideas from. But again, you know, even if you don't have any idea about the subject, the fact that you're hedging is another academic way of dealing with something that you don't know. So, you know, if somebody asks your opinion and you say, well, actually, I'm not an expert on this subject, but then that kind of shows that you're hedging. So if you say, I don't know if it's true, but some research suggests this, then it shows the examiner that you're a critical thinker, you're aware of your limitations, and that again is important. No worries, Alexandra, no worries. Okay, so I don't want to just talk too much now, but while you're writing, if you want, I'm going to go through the 10 things. So why don't you, now let's make it a bit more interactive. You know the stereotypes about your country. I'm from Wales and we lost the football, the Euro against Denmark on Saturday. We always lose, but I can't say we always lose. That's not 100% true. But the Welsh team tends to lose. That's a polite way of saying it. I wonder if in the comments you could say something about maybe what stereotypes people have about your country. You know, British people, if I say British people always drink tea, that's not true. They drink coffee as well. So British people tend to drink more tea than other nationalities, I guess. I'm not sure. So again, try and put this language in a sentence that is relevant for you. And these, I always go from the simplest way is to use that verb. If you want to learn a chunk, you can say there's a tendency for British people to be over polite or whatever. So if you've got any stereotypes that you'd like to hedge, then do let me know in the comments. So we've got modal verbs again, and I've put all of these in examples that would be useful for you for the Ielts test. So instead of saying we will see a rise in extreme weather events, then we might, or we may, or we could, those modal verbs, and would, as we saw before. Other ways of using modal verbs in a way is this: it's possible, it's probable, these modal adjectives, it's likely. There's a possibility, again, getting more complex as you go down the list. Probably is a simple way of doing it. Instead of saying it is the worst, most worrying trend, it's probably the most worrying trend. Again, you show awareness that there are other worrying trends. These hedging expressions at the start of the sentence, these verbs like there appears to be a link. Again, learn that whole expression. The findings seem to suggest that there is a link. And there's quite a lot of grammar related. Yes, I have got a PDF, and I'll put the link in at the end. I'll send that to you. I'll explain at the end. Yes. Okay. And they are all there as well on that page as well, if you want to get them more quickly. Okay, so there's weak verbs we've looked at, these kind of adverbs, apparently, arguably, supposedly, not necessarily. So people assume that young people are fitter than old people. It's not necessarily true. Young people spend a lot of time on the Xbox. My son does anyway. It and that expressions like this, it is often thought, it's been argued, those expressions referring to other people. So it's not just your opinion. You're saying, okay, that's not my opinion. That's what some people believe. And then you give evidence or support. And of course, finally, you can use these. It's quite difficult or rather difficult just to soften again. So the last one, I'm going to let you do this now. I always tell my students when they say I don't have any ideas, or I need to improve my vocabulary, or I need to improve my academic style, I always say, well, reading will improve your vocabulary. Have I got evidence of that? Oh, while you're thinking about that, very often some teachers recommend that you invent research in your task 2 essay. So in the comments, do you think that's a good strategy or not? Of course, in the exam, you don't have your research books with you, your articles, your journals. You don't have all of that. So is it a good idea to invent an article to support your argument? What do you think? Andrew's saying yes. Interesting. Okay, I wonder what everybody else thinks. Alexandra saying definitely. Okay, and Empty saying, can we state our own experience as evidence? Okay. Interesting. Empty, I think it comes down to the same problem, is that if you're clear that that is just your experience, and you clearly state that, you know, in my experience, when I started reading more, my vocabulary improved, that's fine. You're not stating that as evidence that it's true. It's not a fact, but you're saying, look, in my experience, it's true. So absolutely yes. However, I would not recommend inventing research articles, and I can show you why in a moment. Your own experience, definitely, as an example. Yes, definitely. Okay, let's have a look at the sample answer. Website link, yes, I think I just put it. Did I put it there? Yes, that's the website. Also, let me just find, so if you go to my website and if you've got a question like that, so we're talking about inventing research articles, you can, oh, hang on, it should come up straight away, but I've added some more things. So research articles, how to refer to articles. Okay, so I would honestly say don't. So I often see this, or when I was an examiner, people would just invent articles. Research published by Oxford University in 1992. And I know a lot of tutors recommend that, but I do not, for many reasons. At university, you need to do that because you need to show that you've read the research. In Ielts, you don't, and it's a kind of waste of words, and it doesn't support your argument. So what's the alternative? Well, I would say research has shown simply that forget making up dates. It's almost like lying, and they don't like it. There is some evidence to suggest, or a number of studies have shown, this is far better, it's much better to do that than to invent an article. And if you're not sure, I'm going to post that as well then, so you can give, I've got a lot of reasons why I would not recommend that. And as you can see here, research appears to indicate that's all you need. That is academic enough. 250 words, that is all you need. You can't waste time inventing articles. It's almost like funny when you see a funny, somebody's invented it. Don't need it. And again, appears to indicate for a significant proportion, not all students, but for a significant proportion, extensive reading, okay, maybe more specific, not just reading, but extensive reading, may Moodles improve. Well, it might do something, contribute to an improvement in their, not their passive vocabulary, but active. So that is all you need to support your claim. Perhaps it is like stating facts, but with added probability, Marian. I think, yes. Do you mean the research article, or do you mean the hedging? Which one do you mean is like stating facts? So the hedging is certainly like stating facts with, yes, Marian, thank you. Exactly. It's just, that might be something you might say in spoken language. You might say, oh, reading will help, I'm sure. In written, you know, it's a different kettle of fish, as we say. It just has to be more precise, more accurate, less vague, less general, and more academic. It's simply that. It's simply academic style. Okay, I think that is it. So the worksheet, and look at my model answers. On the website again, I've got model answers, and I tend to, not always, because I've only just started doing it, I tend to put the hedging language in green. So if you go, for example, here, this Band 9 model essay, if you go and look at the model, then you can see, hopefully, where is it here? Right, you can see in green, this is mainly due, or they often have, or they may not. I don't use it a lot, but you can see it's like a kind of seasoning. It just changes the tone a little. Significantly. There is less chance, not it will change, but there is less chance of whatever you want, whatever you're saying. So do have a look at those model essays there, and you can see how I use that. Practice, of course. Practice, try and question every time you write something. You kind of think, well, is that true? Is that just my opinion? Is there any evidence for that? And then I think that's the last one. Oh, okay. So what I've done here is, and I'm not sure it's going to work because I've just really quickly did it. I've made this booklet for you, and it's called Jeff's. And I think if you click on that link, I think it will go into your inbox. Now, that does mean that you have to give me your email, and I will send you emails about Ielts every 2 weeks. So not too much, but if you just want the PDF, then you can just unsubscribe. let me show you what the PDF looks like. Yeah, and I'm happy, that's fine. I understand nobody wants to be on an email list and get loads of emails. But if you do want that slide, the PDF, then if you go to that link, it looks a bit like this. So it's kind of got all of the things we talked about, and there are some exercises. So it's a Google Doc, so you can, click through it like that, go through each one like that, summary, and then there's practice exercises at the end, if that's okay. If anybody tried that link, can you let me know if it works? Because if it doesn't, I'll just change it. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing now, Jeff, because I was gonna leave 10 minutes at the end just for questions, if that's okay. Any questions really about anything? Doesn't have to be about hedging. It worked, Andrew, thank you. So hopefully it's set up so you'll then get an email with the PDF. If it's not, don't panic. I'm here. You can always contact me.
I tried it and it's working.
Oh, did it actually send a link to the PDF?
Yeah. I think it's a login. It's working.
Okay. It was just, I tried to do it quickly before the session and started to panic with the technology.
Yeah.
And
once you click it, it's like the registration that will ask your email.
Okay. Okay, it's just easier that way than emailing everybody individually. But if you don't want to be on the list, that is absolutely fine. Just unsubscribe as soon as you get it. It's absolutely fine.
So yeah. So are we going now on our question and answer, Fiona?
Yes, just any questions
so
about
guys,
anything.
we encourage everyone. So please type in your question to our Facebook viewers as well. So this is the best time to ask your questions here in Zoom. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. I really love answering questions, and even if it's something like you said, that question about generating ideas, I'll make a note of that and get the link to you on YouTube, because it's quite it's called the discussion clock or the thinking tree. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's just a system of getting ideas, and it's based on things like economic reasons, environmental reasons, educational reasons, economic, environmental, political. Anyway, yes, I can send you that link. Reading the best way to improve your vocabulary, Alexandra, in my opinion, it is, yeah, and research has shown that people who read more have a higher vocabulary. So yeah, that's what I would do.
So from our Facebook, there's some questions like from Leo about the link. So I will send it to our Facebook page. I will post it on our page.
Okay, I can't see the Facebook questions, Jeff. So will you? Sure. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Okay. I've got Andrew, how often do you upload podcasts? Okay, so I do podcasts once a week. They are IELTS related, but what I do is I go through either a reading, a listening, or a writing task, and when I go through them, I analyze the vocabulary and the way it's been written and the tricks and the synonyms and so on, and the spelling and all of those things. So I think if you were learning general English, they're 30 minutes long, and you went out for a 30-minute walk, I think it would be really useful, even if you're doing IELTS, I think. Gowri is asking how to improve sentence structure. Gowri, it's a huge topic, but sentence structure is just grammar. It's simply that. I mean, it's simply improving your grammar, and again, I think that comes from reading and practicing and getting feedback. It's just language. It's like learning any language, I think. Can we say, according to a survey? The trouble with saying according to a survey, it suggests that there was just one survey. You could say maybe a recent survey. According to research, showed an example task 2, even if it's created example. Yeah, because you're not saying which survey it was. So if I think just don't invent something. If you said according to recent research, then that's fine. The examiner's not going to ask you which research was this. They don't care. They really don't care. But they do care if you're inventing something that they see as a lie. The podcast is called Ielts Made Easier. If you go to my website on the front page and you click podcast, you can listen to it on different platforms. So you can listen to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Okay. Is it better to write a shorter or longer essay? Serena, okay. Really good question, because I think there's a lot of confusion here. It kind of depends on what band you're aiming for. Always clear and accurate is better than number of words. So always quality is better than quantity. And if you write 260 words accurately, is much better than writing 330 words with lots of mistakes. So the more mistakes or the more words you write, of course, the more chance of error there is. And if you can confidently write 300 words without making mistakes, then that will allow you to express more ideas and more of your language, show off more of your language, which will get you a higher score. But if you're just thinking, I have to write a long essay and it's full of mistakes and it's rambling, then obviously it won't help. And the danger with going anywhere over like 330 absolute maximum is that you'll be going a little bit off topic. So, the examiners are marking like 100 of these a day. They want clarity. They want clear language, easy to follow and logical. Doesn't really matter about the length. I hope that answers. What can you suggest if at the middle of writing the essay we run out of time? Okay, first of all, don't let yourself run out of time. Plan. So planning is so important that you've got those 4 or 5 paragraphs planned. If it's just an emergency situation and you lose track of time, I would just write the one line. If you've got 1 minute left, write to conclude, as I have shown, or I believe, something. So then you at least get the task achievement that you have answered the question. Yeah. But I think time management comes with practice. Again, being really strict, 40 minutes for task 2, 20 minutes for task 1. Such a short amount of time, isn't it? Okay, I think, Jeff, any other? In conclusion, should I write the main ideas? Paraphrase the introduction. Leo, okay, Leo. I do have a lesson on YouTube about how to write a conclusion. The general advice is you should restate your opinion. So when you restate your opinion, you've got to be careful not to just be repetitive. So you've got to restate it in a slightly different way, and not to just say exactly what you've already said in 100 words. You have to be concise and restate your opinion. But what I tend to recommend is a 3-sentence structure where you start with to conclude, and you say, although many people think this, I believe this, and then a final thought at the end. Final thought could be a recommendation. You know, if everybody did this, the world would be a better place. Or if we don't do this, a consequence, then what will happen? So a kind of final thought at the end, which is not a new subject, but which isn't repetitive of what you've already said before. So when you said, should you paraphrase the introduction, I would avoid doing that too much, because it sometimes comes out that it's too similar. I think you need to end on this final thought. So being very concise with a final thought for the examiner is important and difficult, I know. But with reading models, you'll get the hang of it.
Okay, I think we will go for the last question from Kushbo.
Okay. So qualities of 9, band 9. Okay, I think I showed you, honestly, on my website, I've got about 3 or 4 band 9 essays, and it's not saying that this essay is perfect, because there are lots of ways of writing a band 9 essay, and there's no one perfect way. But in the essays on my website, I pick out like 10 features which make this a band 9 essay. So if you find those, just put band 9 in the search bar, you'll see some of those examples I've listed. I hope that's okay.
So
Yung
there's a one
good
question.
Bobby!
Wait.
Last one
Okay.
said, can you ask the invigilators to paraphrase? No, absolutely 100% not. No way. They will never do that. Well, they shouldn't, because that would give you an unfair advantage. It wouldn't be fair to other people if you did that.
Okay, so yeah, Fiona, I think we already answered the question. So it's now time for you to promote and about the links that they are asking our website. And plus the podcast, actually, I followed you before when I took my Ielts last year. So I'm
Okay.
surprised now that I'm talking to you.
Oh, that's really nice, Gemma. Oh, great. Yeah. I to be honest, I don't have much to promote. I've got a website. I've put most of my stuff for free on the website, and the podcast and the YouTube thing. I do have a members academy, and that's just for people who want really more support. So they want the writing feedback. There's speaking lessons every day, so they're getting the speaking practice and confidence, and there's a whole suite of courses there. If you want to know more about that, I could. Shall I send you a link, Jeff?
Yeah, you can. Let's chat it again, and then I will post it on our page.
Okay.
Everything that they're asking.
That would be lovely. Yeah. So it's just a small group of people that just want a bit more support, and that's what the Members Academy is. But it has a course for everything, and it's kind of interactive, and it's a nice community, and yeah, you're very welcome to join.
So yeah, I think this is the end of the session, and I'm looking forward for another session, maybe our members. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to cover, isn't there? I mean, when you think about grammatical accuracy and range, it's like, where do you start, isn't it? So I've got lots and lots. Yeah.
Yes. So they are saying thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. From IFNG, Gladys and Marvin, I would like to say thank you. Marvin, do you want to say something for Fiona if you're not busy?
Thank you very much, Miss Fiona, for that very informative lecture.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I learned something about hedging. I don't know that. So
Well,
something really new.
Yeah, thanks for
Oh.
taking part. Thanks for everybody for commenting.
Okay.
And yeah, thank
So
you.
we will end the session. Thank you so much, Fiona Wattam.
No problem.
Okay.
Chat to you
Okay,
soon.
bye guys, our Facebook
Bye-bye.
viewers and Zoom. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.